What's going on YouTube? Long time no see. I had a video before and I accidentally hit the space bar and that completely stopped my video, so I'll just decide to remake it all over again. But I've been getting some people who want me to make a video on the moves that we made these past couple weeks in the free agent offseason. Unfortunately, I've been out of town the past week, and I've been trying to slowly get back into the groove. And I also kind of wanted to take, I wanted to take some time to really digest this information, and not really just make a video that following day based on pure emotion. I wanted to, really analyze the situation and, highlight the pros and cons of the moves that we made. But so far, there's been a lot of pros. I'll go ahead and first analyze the Devin Hester signing. I think it's a somewhat good move. We signed him relatively cheap. Not too bad, 3 years. That's fine. He's a little bit older, but that's no problem. The problem is that I feel like in terms, he would be great in the punting situation. That, obviously, he's known for punt and return, for touchdowns. He's the expert. He's already tied Deion Sanders, and he's only been in the league for about 9 seasons. So, and Deion was in the league for 14 seasons, so he could easily shatter that record. That's no problem. The problem is that I don't think, with the rules that have been instituted to move the kickoff from the 30 to the 35-yard line, there have been a lot less, returns happening. Unless it's a shank or a squib kick or a short kick in order to milk some time off the clock, a majority of the kicks are usually so deep in the end zone or go out of the end zone that kind of prevent, the team from trying to run it out. Most of the time, if they end up catching the ball, they usually just run out to the back of the end zone or they take a knee. They don't want to lose field position. Who can blame them? So I feel like in that position, in the kickoff return, we won't get to see him much just because of what has been going on with this new kickoff return, but definitely in the punting scenario. You look at when we had Eric Weems, that's just another, that just relieves some of what the offense has to do. If we can get a punt return for 20 yards, that dynamically changes, our play calling. It changes the way we have to, it definitely relieves a lot of the pressure that is put on our offense. We say we have the ball in the 10, rather have the ball on the 15-yard line than I'd rather have the ball on the 35-yard line than the 15-yard line. So it definitely, adds another element to our offensive game plan by, allowing us to get more field position. So I kind of like the move. I'm hoping we can use him more. I'm hoping we can use him as a wide receiver. He really wasn't used that much in the Chicago days. They were more of the run style, Matt Forte, and when they had what's his name, the wide receiver Marshall. When they had Marshall, Brandon Marshall. So the majority of the time he was the target. But I feel like since we lost Tony, I know we used Tony as a pass blocker, but he was definitely a good third down option. And I feel like, Devin Hester can kind of step in. He can do, like little skinnies and little slant routes. And he's still quick, so I feel like we can, if it's like a 3rd and 2, he's definitely the option to throw the ball to and get those, much needed yards. In terms, if you want, but now when we talk about the meat of the signings, they definitely come in with the Kansas City additions, Asamoah and Solali. Pardon me for the name pronunciation. I think it's Solai, something, whatever. These were huge additions. Okay, definitely we needed offensive line help. We had absolutely no depth on offense. It showed. Look what happened in the last game of the season against the Panthers. We gave up like 7 or 8 sacks. And throughout the course of the season, the problem was we could not get Matt Ryan any protection. It was, I mean, as soon as he stepped back in the pocket, there was at least two guys in his face, and I mean, it showed. He was doing great up until the injuries, and then all of a sudden, when you have a decimated offensive line, you cannot do anything. We could not run the ball. Matt Ryan had to throw the ball at least 55 to 60 times roughly a game, put more pressure on him. The defense knew what was coming, so all they had to do was just, rush forward and drop back, and put more pressure on Matt Ryan to make throws, and that caused more interceptions. So it took us out of our element. It took us out of it made us too one-dimensional. And I mean, look at the teams around the league. Look at the Patriots, the Colts, somewhat the Colts, but the Broncos, the Kansas City. They're somewhat of an elite team. The Saints, the Seahawks, and 49ers. All of these teams have just, I mean, aside from the defense with the Seahawks, but that's another story. All of these teams have meat. They have beef in the offensive line. I mean, look at Peyton Manning. I mean, the guy you rarely ever see him get sacked. The same thing with Tom Brady. They just have such a stacked offensive line. It helps them with their passing game. It helps them with the running game. It allows them to open up holes. And this is what we needed. Aside from Steven Jackson being injured and from the fact that he's, an old running back in terms of his age, 30, 31, we could get nothing to go through. I mean, he was averaging, it'd be a miracle if he averaged 3 yards a carry, because he wasn't. He didn't even cross 500 yards. He had like 400 and something yards of offense attributed to the injuries, but we could not get anything going. It was a miracle if we could get, 100-yard rushing a game. But these are good signings. That, don't get me wrong. Okay, come draft time, we don't need Clowney. Okay, we do not need him. All right, we need more offensive line help. I feel like we have Sean Witherspoon. We have, our defense is somewhat okay. I mean, we were all decimated by injuries. And I'm hoping, Dimitrov, I've got my eyes on you. I hope you don't make the same mistake by trading up. All right, we do not need to give away any future picks. Okay, learn the way of the Seahawks and the Patriots. Hoard them all. Okay, we need depth. That was our problem. Look at the Patriots and the Seahawks and the Broncos. They all have depth. All the elite teams have depth. When Vince Wilfork came down, it was like an assembly line. Plug someone else in, and they went fine. They were in the AFC Championship, okay, for the 3rd time in a row. This team makes it to the AFC Championship every year, okay, and anyone could go down. Julian Edelman, Aaron Dobson. They didn't have Wes Welker. They just plug and chug, man. That's all they did. It's like calculus, just plug and chug. That's all you need. That's all they did. And this is what you need. You need depth in this league, okay, in order to. You cannot rely on just having a first-string team. You can't have that philosophy, Mr. Dimitrov, because look at what happened. It took a 13-3 team all the way down to a 4-12. Okay, so I like the moves. One move that I definitely don't like is the fact that Jason Stelling retired, and I thought this guy he was absolutely an unbelievable running back for the fact that he was not a first stringer. He could have definitely been a first stringer on a lot of other teams in the league. He was very consistent. He always got at least 4 or 5 yards per run. I felt like even if we didn't have Steven Jackson, I felt like our running game could have developed around Jason Stelling. I mean, he even proved it when Michael Turner went down. But I guess at that point, your offensive line is so decimated, you couldn't get anything going, and that's understandable. But now that we have addressed these issues, they are slowly learning. I've known this since the beginning of the season. They're slowly learning that offensive line will carry you to the end of time, okay? have an offensive line, relieves the pressure off Matt Ryan. It allows you to have both elements of the game, the running and the passing. And that makes sense, you know? In terms of defense, I know Clowney's such a viable pick because the guy looks really good, but I mean, you still have Michael Sam. And that guy looked really, really impressive in his pro day, so if we can somehow steal him, that'd be an awesome addition. But I feel like since we have Witherspoon and our corners, people are upset about Thomas Deku leaving. He was a little old, and Asante Samuel. The guy was old. It showed in the Tampa Bay game when he got absolutely blitzed by Vincent Jackson. So the corners, they were actually very good in their rookie seasons. Desmond Trufant and the other homeboy. They definitely have some promise. So I like the moves, but I like our free agency. Okay, I mean, not gonna lie, if I wanted to give it a rank, I'd give it at least like a B plus, A minus. You know, pretty solid. We addressed the issues that we needed in terms of offensive line help. I would have loved if we had picked up Jared Allen. That would have been unbelievable if we were somehow able to steal him. But he went to Chicago. Nothing we can do about that. If we could have gotten some other defensive end from the free agency, it would have been really nice. But we really needed to address the offensive line. We definitely need to address it during the draft. We have to take Jake Matthews or the guy from Auburn. And in terms of that being completed, the offensive line being completed, yes. In terms of the team being elite, still not there. We definitely need to work on the defensive side first, and that play calling and coaching that really took this team from a 13-3 to a 4-12. If Mike Smith can somehow get it through his head to not go for it on fourth down, to take the points when we need to instill better play calling, and if Dirk Cutter can fucking run the no goddamn huddle, then maybe we have a shot. A lot of people are saying we might go 8-8. I can somewhat see that happening. We have somewhat of the toughest schedule. If we can make it 9-7 or 10-6, I call that a win, especially after what happened last season. But that'll be, in the future. There's still a lot of time. I need to see how the team addresses there. I need to see what happens in the draft in order to make it a viable prediction as to how the season is going to come. But in terms of this free agency, I give it a solid review. Kudos to fucking Arthur Blank for busting out selling some of his Home Depots and getting these big names, because we definitely needed them. We needed to address the elephant in the room, and that was absolutely no offensive line. So, Mr. Dimitrov, the pressure's on you. Are you going to make the right decision? We'll find out on draft.